And greetings once again to you, music lovers, thrill seekers, and conversationalists all across the Frigid Plains. Welcome to another installment of my fishing adventures. Here I am. Had a hot start today. I out in East Texas again. Hitting this bridge, and first thing right off the bat in the morning, they were just loaded on the bridge corners with the wind blowing in. So as soon as I got up, on that windy side, I saw them over there. That rock kind of extends down from that bridge corner down underwater like a point running into deep water. And they were just up on top of that feeding. And I'm throwing the Alabama rig with the Z-Man Elastec. First time using the Elastec Z-Mans on an A-rig, and it worked really well. I really liked it. They had good action. They held up. They're basically indestructible. So hooked up on the next cast. And over on this side, they were solid chunky fish, but not too big. A couple of them were spotted bass as well. A mix of largies and spots, over on this side. Just have to fix my camera. I have my iPhone 13 filming here today, and I have it attached to the pole with magnets, and then I have like 3 layers of secondary measures to try to make sure it never falls in the lake. Next cast going here and hooked up again. It was a really hot start. This one was approaching loinless. I have switched on this rod. I normally throw braided line. I love the no stretch. I love how tough it is. I love that it just doesn't break on you very easily unless it hit something sharp. But I'm experimenting with the fluorocarbon over the winter here. I just had a bite, missed him. 20-pound fluorocarbon on this rod for glide baits, an Alabama rig, and 10 XDs, deep diving crankbait, help the crankbait get down, and just see if I get more bites, see if that has a factor, Went back and got that one. So, just crushing numbers right out of the gates here. Trying to cast out a little bit deeper off that point. They were up pretty shallow on that point when I started. Now I'm just kind of working my way down, and they'd pulled back to a little bit deeper water. Watching them on my live scope. Mostly, I don't always see them on my live scope. When I'm retrieving, a lot of times I'm just working on keeping my A-rig at the right depth that I know that they're at. That one was pretty deep. I'm casting up to probably 7 feet deep up there, but that one bit probably in like 16 feet coming down off that point. Now I'm just kind of in open water out in front of the bridge. I see some schools and was able to pick a small bass off of some bass hunting around a school shed. There was a lot of life around this bridge today. I came back to this bridge later in the day, and there were a lot of white bass there and a lot of bait, and probably some of the marks for largemouth, but just couldn't get anything to bite later in the day. So this was my productive time with it. Moved over to the other bridge corner. Wind was blowing on it, and I caught some better ones over on this side. You know, the bigger fish were definitely on this side today. A couple trips ago, I caught an 8-pounder on that other bridge corner. See, this is so far, this is a big bass of the trip. Pretty fish. Hooked up again. I think it's a good one. Was reeling pretty slow that time. Yep. Not a bad fish. I don't know how many I've caught already, but I mean this is my first like 30 minutes on the lake, and it was just on fire right out of the gate. Here comes my big one for the day. That was a fun hook set. You can just tell it heavy. Like a lot of fish feel heavy on the A-rig. You know, it's such a big thing that they all, you know, but this one definitely felt heavier. She was hooked. I think she had one good hook in her, and she had like 2 other hooks on her, so she was not going anywhere. She ended up being 6.5 pounds, so real nice fish. She looked healthy. She was fat. Pretty fish. Let her get a little bigger. That one bit right at the boat. Not a very big one. Yeah, so I made the switch down to this other railroad bridge, and there were still bass hanging around this bridge. You know, they basically are, you know, there's some bass here all year round. I think some of them have kind of started moving out a little bit. Like, it wasn't, you know, there were some bass back in here. I'm not going to show you some of the smaller ones I got back in here. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this one. Was the only really worthwhile. I probably caught 5 other bass back in here. This one, you know, really hit it hard. You know, real nice fish. 4.5 pounder. It was a long fish. But then, not long after this, I plugged my battery into my camera, and so this is, I went, at the end of the day, last 90 minutes, I went to catch some white bass on this shallow point. It said, you know, kind of that 18 is actually like around 12 feet deep, and then further up the point where I was catching them was mostly like 8 to 10 feet. And I turned my brightness down on my phone, recording, trying to say battery life, thinking that it wouldn't, it wouldn't affect the brightness later, but it did. And that with the sun, the video quality for all these sand bass isn't as good. But I include it because you can still kind of see what's going on. And it was a fun 90 minutes. You know, I don't know how many. I mean, I didn't put them all in here, but there were just sand bass all over. Yo, And every time I come here, if I want to just go catch some fish, I'll stop here. And there are just always, for the last couple months, tons of white bass on this point. And they just, and I'm not even really I'm using a 3/4 ounce lipless crankbait, which is not a bad sand bass lure, but, it's not the best one. It's, if I got like a little blade bait, or I got a little, little jig head with, a small swim bait or something on it, I would just be, if I had minnows, crying out loud, because it's just, there are white bass under my boat, in front of me, around me. It's really interesting. White bass with this lipless, they really want to chase down their prey. Like if I just drop it under the boat and like yo-yo it, they would keep looking at it, but they wouldn't bite. I had to kind of cast it away from the boat. And even a lot of times you'll see some catches where they bite it right at the boat, and it's just the bass under my boat chasing it down as it comes up to the boat. But they're different type of predators. They are hunters. They want to chase it down, and so you gotta have it. You gotta have it moving. For them to bite it. And it's interesting because, I tried burning it real fast a few times, and they didn't really want that. I'd see them follow it, but then they give up. Just kind of had it at the right speed. A few little shakes and change of speeds, but, they didn't want it super fast, but they definitely wanted it moving. And they fight hard. And this lake has pretty good sized white bass, and I keep hoping that largemouth are going to show up on this point. Part of today, I just didn't really have time, or the inclination to want to make a run to explore. I think I had to explore some of the deep timber today, and kind of, learned a few new areas like the creek beds, and didn't catch any there, but kind of added to what I know about the lake for future trips. And then I had to kind of have my fill of that, so I just decided, I'll just catch as many white bass as I can in these 90 minutes, and just see if some largemouths show up at any point in time. This one's fighting. I did see I was in 8 to 10 at one point, and probably out in 12 feet, kind of further out. There might have been a carp. I don't think it was. It seemed like some real predatory blow up, out there. And it might have been white bass chasing bait, since there were so many white bass around. They weren't really coming up to the surface. They were kind of glued to the bottom. But it seemed like a big bass. And so I'll leave you guys with this song, to finish out the fishing. And take care.
Skipping rocks, skipping rope, laughing at all my best friends' jokes. Things I loved when I was a kid. Muddy roads, muddy feet. I didn't live on no blacktop street. Things have changed a lot, but I never did. And I don't wanna think about tomorrow. I don't need anything money can buy. I don't have to beg, steal, or borrow. I just wanna live until I die. living right, living in this little old town I grew up in. But I still held on to my dreams, standing proud, standing tall, standing smack dab in the middle of it all. I don't worry about things that I can't change, and I don't wanna think about tomorrow. I don't need anything money can buy. I don't have to beg, steal, or borrow. I just wanna live until I die. And everything around me are things I dearly love. And every night I get on my knees and thank the Lord above that I don't have to think about tomorrow. I don't need anything money can buy. I don't have to beg, steal, or borrow. I just wanna live until I die. I don't have to beg, steal, or borrow. I just wanna live until I die.